All right, hopefully everybody is doing great. A happy Tuesday. We're actually doing this on my phone. I've tried videoing this on my computer about 900 times. I think I've just wasted 30 minutes that I'll never get back in my life. So I figured we would do it on my phone. Hopefully everyone is great. Phoenix, Utah trade, a rarity, that a trade involving no players at all, but we're looking at draft picks. We would give a little bit of perspective from Phoenix's side and certainly from the Jazz's side of this. Remember, Phoenix woke up this morning having one first-round pick in the next 7 years to trade in 2031. They had a 2025 second from Denver. That was it. That was their draft equity for a team that has continually pushed their chips to the middle. So how do you take a 2031 first and break it up into three different draft assets? How you do it is you make a phone call to the Utah Jazz or maybe the Oklahoma City Thunder or the Brooklyn Nets, teams that are loaded with first-round picks, and they say, I'll give you our 31 unprotected for 3 first-round picks, okay? One in 2025, which is going to be the Cleveland Cavaliers, which is at 29 or 30. The least favorable in 2027 of Utah, Mini, or Cleveland. And in 2029, least favorable of Utah, Cleveland, and Minnesota. The Minnesota, if it's 6 to 30. And what that does is that unlocks a lot of different optionality as far as what we have available to go out and make a trade. Instead of having one crack at the apple, we've got 3 cracks at the apple. Instead of taking one big bite out of the pizza pie, we can take 3 bites out of the pizza pie here. And that's what Phoenix has done. And if you think Phoenix is not all in and they're going to pivot away from Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, you are wrong. This trade just rubber stamps it that Phoenix is in business to try to go swing for the fences and try to turn around a season where they're hanging on for dear life for one of their final play-in spots, a season where they've got Brooklyn tomorrow and then Washington the next day, and we might look at the standings a week from now, and they might be sitting in 6. That's the reality in the Western Conference when you're looking at it from 6 to the play-in. The teams all bunched in there. So what is next with Phoenix? We'll certainly keep an eye on Bradley Beal. We'll keep an eye on Jusuf Nurkic. Do I think Miami now all of a sudden says, you know what? We're going to take those 3 first-round picks with the $111 million owed to Bradley Beal. I think that's not going to happen. It's still a non-starter with the money. But that doesn't mean there's a 3rd or 4th team saying, you know what? We'll take a player with one of those picks, and the 2 picks go with Beal somewhere. So keep an eye what happens with Bradley Beal. For Utah, bravo. A terrific trade for the Utah Jazz. Quality over quantity. 13 first-round picks coming in. They looked at, okay, we've got a Cleveland pick, which is at 30 right now. Can we trade that with 2 other things and get the golden ticket of draft picks, which is that 2031 Phoenix first? The best of draft equity that any team can have is now in the hands of the Utah Jazz. And they've got 11 first-round picks in the next 7 years, including 2 this year. 1 could be a lottery pick based on what happens in Minnesota. So there is a lot to like if you're Utah as far as from a draft pick accumulation. We'll see. Maybe the next team is Milwaukee, who only has a 2031 first. Maybe Oklahoma City calls them up and says, you know what? We want that type of deal here. But when you look at Utah, 2 picks in 25, 1 in 26. They can swap with Cleveland or Mini that year. 3 in 27. They still got that Lakers first, 5 to 30. If it's 5 to 30, they can swap in 28 with Cleveland. 2 in 29, 1 in 30, and then, of course, 2 in 2031. A great deal for Utah. I understand it from Phoenix perspective. Been there, done it. Listen, when you have a sense of somewhat desperation and all in, you continually push the envelope. And I think certainly what Phoenix has done is they are pushing the envelope, and I understand why. We'll see what happens next. We'll see if the next move is Bradley Beal for Jimmy Butler that involves 4 or 5 teams. Keep an eye on that. We will talk soon.
them James Harden where I pull up long range. Jimmy with the heat, I'm on fire. It's NBA on ESPN time.